September 10th, circumstantial evidence on radicalization. There's zero for this kid being MAGA or a Republican or in any way in favor of Donald Trump. There's plenty of him hating Donald Trump. They're like, oh, he was just a gamer. The fact that he wrote these things on the bullets just show he was nothing but a gamer. Yeah, okay, you missed the part where, again, he wrote them on bullets with which he shot Charlie Kirk.
Ripped straight out of a thriller. Headlines detonated across every platform like dominoes. At first, the story was clean, almost too clean. A 22-year-old Tyler James Robinson, quickly pegged as the culprit, labeled politically motivated. Case closed. But months later, the silence started to feel suspicious. Whispers crawled through the web. Something didn't fit. Then came Joe Rogan, dropping one eerie line on air. There's something off about how that all went down. That was it. One sentence, the spark that reignited the fire. The clip went viral before his coffee even cooled. Hours later, Megyn Kelly jumped in on her own podcast, claiming she'd heard details never made public. Two of America's loudest voices suddenly humming the same haunting note. Something wasn't adding up. Overnight, the internet went feral. What started as tragedy had mutated into full-blown national intrigue. People stopped asking who, they started asking why. And more chillingly, who's staying quiet? At first, Rogan's remark felt like a throwaway line. But the timing? Too sharp, too synchronized. His episode aired the very same week as Kelly's segment, What We Still Don't Know. She didn't drop names, but she didn't have to. The subtext screamed louder than any headline. Both hinted the same thing. Someone in Charlie's inner circle wasn't being honest. And it only took that phrase, someone close. The internet imploded. Reddit turned into an open investigation. Forums filled with armchair detectives connecting dots no one else could see. Every old post, every blurry frame from that night became evidence. Soon, screenshots from Charlie's wife's private page flooded timelines, dissected like clues in a conspiracy thriller. What began as breaking news had evolved into America's latest obsession. And this time, nobody trusted the official story. Every caption under those picture-perfect photos suddenly turned into clues. Internet sleuths dissected every word, freeze-framed every smile, and decoded every blink like it was part of a secret message. What started as innocent posts now looked like evidence from a digital crime scene. Rumors swirled that Charlie Kirk's wife had deleted dozens of comments the night before Joe Rogan's episode aired. Others whispered that a journalist, ready to question the official timeline, was suddenly told to stand down. No proof, no confirmation, but none of that mattered anymore. The story had escaped reality. It had become its own living, breathing myth. On social media, truth wasn't the goal. Participation was. Everyone wanted a piece of the puzzle, a theory to claim, a clue to chase. Then Megyn Kelly accidentally poured gasoline on the chaos. Her next episode, she spoke softly but dropped a bomb. She'd received messages from people who couldn't share them publicly. That one line was all it took. The internet went nuclear. Messages from who? People demanded. And why the secrecy? TikTok turned into a crime lab. YouTube flooded with slow-motion breakdowns, lip reads, tone analyses. Every pause, every blink, every raised eyebrow became proof. Then silence. Both Rogan and Kelly vanished from the conversation, and that quiet only made things worse. The web called it a storm of blanks where every missing detail became oxygen for conspiracy. Nobody cared who was right anymore. They just wanted more. In less than a week, a single offhand comment had snowballed into a national manhunt of speculation. Millions of self-proclaimed detectives now hunted a truth no one could verify. And at the eye of this viral hurricane lingered two haunting questions. Who really knows what happened? And why are they still silent? The harder Megyn Kelly tried to act subtle, the louder the internet screamed that she was hiding something huge. By week's end, social media had detonated. Hashtags like Chaush Wetganos, Chaush Rogan, and Charlie's Note stormed global trends. At first, major news outlets rolled their eyes, dismissing it as online hysteria. But the buzz refused to die. Eventually, they caved, sliding it into primetime as entertainment gossip. Though everyone knew this was no mere rumor. And right at the eye of the hurricane stood one silent figure, Charlie Kirk's widow. She hadn't spoken once. Not a post, not a statement, not even a cryptic emoji. Her silence wasn't calm, it was thunderous. In a world obsessed with shouting opinions, she said nothing. and that nothing became terrifying. Every hour she stayed quiet, the public filled the void with their own imagination. Some swore she'd fled the country. Others insisted her lawyers had locked her away from cameras. A few wild corners of the web even claimed she was under special protection. Nobody knew the truth, but everyone agreed the timing was strange. Because when information moves at the speed of light, silence becomes the ultimate mystery. Then came the spark that reignited the blaze. An old interview from early 2025. In it, Charlie's wife laughed and teased that her husband trusted people too easily. Back then, it drew smiles. Now it drew suspicion. The clip resurfaced, slowed frame by frame. Every micro-expression treated like evidence from a thriller. Was that a warning? Captions asked. Did she know something? The internet swarmed. TikTok breakdowns, Reddit theories, YouTube reactions, all decoding a smile from months ago like it was a confession. And just like that, one innocent laugh became the latest clue in a digital manhunt. The widow hadn't spoken a single word, but somehow her silence was now the loudest voice online. Maybe, just maybe, Charlie Kirk had left something behind. A note, a letter, a final whisper meant only for his wife. No one had seen it, no proof, no photo. But that didn't matter. The rumor spread faster than fact itself. Internet sleuths went into overdrive, clawing through old interviews, blurry photos, and offhand quotes, convinced the truth was tucked between the ordinary. By midweek, the story had mutated. Music Joe Rogan and Megyn Kelly were no longer the focus. They were merely the spark. The entire digital spotlight now burned on one person, the widow. Her name rocketed up search charts, trending across half a dozen countries. Every picture she'd ever posted, every party pose, sidewalk stroll, or living room selfie was reinterpreted like sacred evidence. A smile became a clue, a glance became guilt, and the internet decided collectively that there had to be a secret. Whether it existed or not no longer mattered. Curiosity had turned into a wildfire. Analysts, vloggers, and armchair detectives raced to rebuild the truth, each one more dramatic than the last. Some swore they had an unreleased letter. Others claimed Charlie had kept a diary. A few YouTube channels even faked his last words in AI voiceovers, feeding the frenzy. And then, when the chaos was at its peak, a familiar name shattered the noise: Candace Owens. The voice that had stayed silent finally broke through, declaring on air, "When authorities say stop asking questions, we don't stop. Not this time." She spoke of confusion, of cover-ups, of something terrible that had shaken the world. And that single word, proof, was all it took. Social media exploded, timelines combusted, and within minutes her echo had drowned out everything else. Whatever she said next didn't even matter. The damage was done. A new chapter had begun. And this time, no one was turning away. And just like everyone predicted, Candace Owens stepped straight into the chaos, calm, calculated, and almost cinematic. The storm around Charlie Kirk had been waiting for her, and she entered like a final act that had already been written. No press tease, no promo, no dramatic trailer, just one eerie post. People are finally paying attention to what I warned about. No hashtags. No explanation, just that. Within minutes, the internet combusted. Fans, reporters, influencers, everyone raced to decode what she meant. Then, like clockwork, old clips of Candace resurfaced. Moments where she'd hinted at private conversations and unpublished notes from Charlie's last days. Suddenly it all clicked, or at least it seemed to. The internet crowned her the keeper of Charlie's final secret. The next day, Candace went live. No intro music, no firebrand energy, just stillness, soft light. Her voice calm and deliberate. I saw a section of Charlie Kirk's private diary, written days before he died. According to her, it spoke of trust, betrayal, and someone close who couldn't be trusted. She showed no proof, no photos, just the words private diary. And that was enough. Social media imploded. Her voice was chopped, remixed, and stitched into clips with Joe Rogan and Megyn Kelly. Like puzzle pieces of a single master conspiracy. Suddenly everything was connected. Candace didn't rant or accuse, she whispered. And every whisper landed like dynamite. Because when a world starved for truth meets a voice that claims to hold it, reason disappears. Within hours, TikTok, X, and YouTube were overflowing. Her quotes over Rogan's tone, Kelly's clips replayed like prophecy. The line between truth and myth blurred completely, and by sundown, America wasn't just watching a mystery. They were living inside one. No one had proof. But at this point, proof didn't matter. The story had already written itself. Joe Rogan questioned the timeline. Megyn Kelly hinted at a secret never meant to be heard. And Candace Owens? She claimed she'd seen evidence. 3 names. 3 puzzle pieces. 1 viral inferno. 3 puzzle pieces. 1 viral inferno. But the real explosion didn't come from what Candace said before. It came from what she said last. Near the end of her live broadcast, she took a quiet breath. I don't want today to be about anything other than you guys knowing that Charlie really was an amazing person, she said softly. We were close. He was my best friend, my brother, and I will never unsee the footage of what I saw. Her tone was calm, almost gentle. A smile flickered, hesitation lingered. It didn't sound like a revelation, until it did. Then came the comment. Do you think Charlie's wife knows more than she's letting on? Candace froze. Her eyes shifted away from the camera. A few seconds of silence felt like an eternity. And then, let's just say he wrote about trust for a reason. End of broadcast. No elaboration. No follow-up. Just 8 seconds of raw chaos. Within minutes, the clip hit every corner of the internet. People replayed it frame by frame, zooming into her eyes like digital detectives. Was it a slip, a setup, a confession? Nobody agreed. One side was certain Candace had seen a letter, a note from Charlie Kirk himself, maybe even naming someone. The other side swore she was just playing the game, adding gasoline to a fire already burning out of control. But regardless of motive, the result was the same. Total meltdown. Hashtags like Nadkua Charlie and Duku I Beat skyrocketed. Rogan's fans pulled old clips. Kelly's podcast was reanalyzed, and self-made investigators stitched every moment together like a coded prophecy. And through all the noise, one voice stayed quiet. Megyn Kelly, no tweet, no denial, no clarification, just silence. And in a story built on whispers, her silence was the loudest sound of all. And then, silence. A silence so deliberate it screamed. When the same voices that had sparked the fire suddenly went quiet, the internet felt something shift. Like a door had opened, and the people who opened it were now pretending not to look inside. That eerie quiet wasn't peace. It was pressure. Something bigger was being hidden. Everyone could feel it. Every post, clip, and tweet was now gasoline. People weren't just watching the story unfold anymore. They were inside it, part of the hunt. And right when the chaos hit its boiling point, it happened. Single image. Blurry, unsourced, posted in the middle of the night. No watermark, no caption, no context. Just a photo of a torn notebook page. Shaky handwriting slanted like it was written in fear. One sentence stood out, trembling across the paper. I don't know who I can trust anymore. That was all it took. No name, no proof. Just 7 words and the internet detonated. Within minutes, the image was everywhere. Some users swore it was Charlie Kirk's handwriting, comparing loops and strokes with his old signatures like digital detectives solving a crime. Others called it AI-generated propaganda, an elaborate manipulation to steer public opinion. But the truth didn't matter anymore. What mattered was how real it felt. Rumors spiraled. Some claimed Candace Owens posted it first, then deleted it. Others insisted it came from a secret Discord server tied to an insider. Reddit exploded with handwriting analyses, letter-by-letter breakdowns, diagrams that looked more like evidence boards from a murder case than internet gossip. Whether real or fake, that one photo became the symbol of suspicion. And through it all, Charlie's widow said nothing. No denial, no statement, no posts, nothing. But that silence, it spoke volumes. Because on the internet, when you don't talk, people talk for you. Old interviews were dissected frame by frame. Her expressions became evidence. A glance was guilt. A pause was panic. Even news outlets joined the circus, publishing headlines like "Leaked Note Mystery." Could it change everything about Charlie Kirk? Pretending to report while secretly feeding the storm. The line between journalism and gossip collapsed completely, and just as the world began to calm down, a new twist dropped. A man, anonymous, hoarse-voiced, claimed he was there that night. tiny unknown podcast uploaded his exclusive. No photo, no proof. Just his shaky voice saying he saw Charlie arguing with a woman minutes before it happened. That was it. That one whisper, and once again the world caught fire. Because when trust dies, even a faceless voice can rewrite history. It started with one image. A woman in a dark coat wearing sunglasses at night. Just that one bizarre detail was enough to set the internet on fire. Instantly, Reddit sleuths, YouTube truthers, and conspiracy forums all pointed to the same name. Charlie Kirk's widow. No proof, no confirmation, just collective conviction. In seconds, suspicion became fact. Her name trended again, hotter than before. Comments split the internet in half. One side screamed nonsense. The other declared it proof of everything Candace Owens had hinted at. Comparison videos flooded timelines. Frames from the widow's last public appearance were matched against the blurry descriptions of that mysterious woman. The color of her coat, the tilt of her head, even the way she walked. Every detail was treated like evidence in a courtroom run by hashtags, photos from family albums, clips from old interviews, even random selfies. Suddenly all clues. The heartbreak of a widow became fuel for the world's favorite pastime, digital witch hunting. Mock videos, memes, and fake timelines drowned the internet in noise. Social media had turned into a trial with no jury, no rules, and no mercy. And yet no one even knew who the so-called witness was. The voice in that tiny podcast had no name, no face, no record. Hours after the trailer dropped, the episode vanished, deleted. The hosts claimed legal pressure. But of course, that only made the public believe the story had to be true. Rumors evolved like wildfire. Some claimed the voice belonged to a security guard who'd worked the event. Others argued it was an AI fabrication, designed to steer people away from the real truth. But just when the online chaos reached its peak, Joe Rogan, the man who'd planted the first seed of doubt, broke his silence. The internet froze after weeks of saying nothing. Rogan returned, his voice softer, slower. Not the confident tone people were used to. Almost regretful. And then he said it. When you start pulling a thread, pretty soon you realize someone doesn't want you to. That one line detonated across every platform. The clip was color-graded, captioned, remixed, and re-uploaded thousands of times. Each version claimed to expose a hidden meaning. Maybe Rogan knew too much. Maybe someone was silencing him. Maybe this was the warning everyone had missed. But then, everything changed. The theories, the clips, the whispers, all of it collapsed under something the internet hadn't expected. The next revelation didn't come from a podcast or a viral tweet. It came from something colder, heavier, a leaked official document. And this time, the fiction wasn't fiction anymore. Then came the leak that changed everything. Police report quietly slipped online, claiming that inside Charlie Kirk's office, investigators had found a small sealed box marked only with his initials. Inside, charred scraps of paper. But on one half-burned piece, a single haunting line survived. She promised to be safe. No one knew what it meant. But within hours, the internet was on fire again. Theories once mocked as wild fantasies suddenly felt disturbingly possible. Joe Rogan stayed silent. Megyn Kelly vanished from the discussion, and millions were left asking the same question. Who was she trying to keep safe? And from what? Mainstream media scrambled to bury the story, calling it an unverified rumor. But the anchor's eyes gave them away, nervous, unsettled, pretending calm, while the world replayed that one cryptic phrase. And just when the tension became unbearable, Charlie's widow finally broke her silence. Her statement was brief, measured, almost too polished. She called the rumors cruel and false, but the damage was done. Her denial didn't extinguish the fire. It poured gasoline on it. Every word she spoke made her months of silence echo louder. The internet didn't believe her. It pitied her, dissected her, doubted her. The story mutated. From whispers to timelines, from timelines to full-blown documentaries, each version claimed to reveal the real truth. But the deeper it spread, the murkier it became. And somewhere beneath all the noise, one chilling question refused to die. If this story is truly over. Why do the powerful still flinch when someone says the name Charlie Kirk? What do you think? Is this the end or just the first chapter of something darker? Stay tuned and make sure you subscribe to the Royal Spotlight, where every rumor leads to a revelation. where every rumor leads to a revelation.